This is the third in a series of videos demonstrating the construction of a semantic valid HTML web page to contain a sample site plan. This video discusses the inclusion of common content that would typically be found in every page of the site. You may download the starting files from the provided link on the page where this video is found. The beginning file for this video is the ending file from the previous video. In addition, this download includes an images folder with the logo included, which is part of the content for this video. If you have not viewed and built the plan file from the previous videos, you are encouraged to do so. Begin by launching your editor. I am using NetBeans, and opening the plan.html file in the plan demo folder of your Sandbox project. I suggest that you pause the video and take a moment to visit a few websites that you frequently visit. As you visit the sites, look particularly at the header where the site logo and/or company name is found, the main navigation links, and the footer of the web page. Visit 3 or 4 pages on each site. Come back when you're done. Back? I don't know what sites you visited, but I anticipate that if these are mainstream e-commerce sites, that as you navigated from page to page within the site, that the header, navigation links, and footer content tended to remain the same. It is because of this sameness that we can refer to these areas as holding common content. The content is common or the same on all pages. In our demo site plan, we are going to include content that we would plan on being the same across all pages in a demo site or any site. Likewise, when the time comes for you to build your own site, you will do the same thing. Let's get started. Locate the header with the role equal to banner. It should have a div inside of it and nothing else. Click inside of the div. This is where we will place the content that will identify our website, not necessarily this page's content. That is for the main element. Inside of the page header, it is common to find a logo and a site name. These may be combined into a single item, but we will separate them. Begin by typing the code for an image. This code will display our logo. Follow along by typing the code that you see in the video. The img or image element tells the browser that it should display an image. The source attribute contains the path the browser should follow to find the image it is to display. The path shown tells the browser that the image folder is a sibling to the plan file and that the demo logo file is inside the folder. Finally, the alt attribute contains text that will display on the screen if the image cannot be displayed, or will be read by a screen reader if the web page is being read aloud. You will notice that the img element, like the meta element in the head, are void elements. They do not have a closing tag. Next, we will enter an H1 element. HTML has 6 levels of headings, H1 through H6, which indicate the level of importance of the heading. Think of headings as levels of an outline. In this case, the H1 is the main title or heading that overviews everything else in the outline. Inside of the H1, we will place the name of the website, demo site. Now that we have named the site, we could add that to the title in the head element. Best practice says that the first item in the title should indicate the content of this page. Then it can be followed by the site name and other information as desired. Go to the title, click after the sample site plan text, and add a space, then a vertical pipe. This can be done by pressing Shift / on your keyboard, another space, and site and demo site as the site name. Your file should now look like that in the video. One last thing and we will be done with the header. It is common practice to make the logo a link that will always take the site visitor to the home page of the site. We will add a link to our logo. Create a new line above the IMG element, but still inside of the div of the header. Add an anchor or an opening A tag, followed by a space and an href attribute. The href tells the browser the location of the page that the anchor or A element links to. In our case, the / is a means of indicating the root of the website, which is where the home page should be located. Our site doesn't have a home page yet, so this link will not take you there. Next is a title attribute with a meaningful value. The title will produce a tooltip in the browser to add additional information to the link so the site visitor will know the result of clicking the link. Add a greater than symbol to close the opening tag. Move to the end of the IMG element, press your Enter or Return key to create a new line, and enter the closing anchor or A tag. In this code, the image becomes the link since it is surrounded by the anchor element. Next, we will build some links to represent our navigation bar. Common practice is to build navigation links inside of an unordered list. In the second video, we talked briefly about semantic meanings. Unordered lists have meaning, a collection of items that are equal in importance but related. Since all items in the list are navigation links to resources in the website, they are related. It is assumed that all are equal in importance, so using an unordered list is perfect. Because this is a demo, all links are generic. Type the list as you see it in the video. Finally, let's turn our attention to the footer. A footer is the equivalent to the fine print in a contract. It contains information related to the website, but it is not actual content. If you go back and review the type of things that were in the footers of the sites you visited earlier, you can see what others included. For this demo, we will include 4 things. The first 3 will be in another unordered list, and the last in a paragraph. In the footer, create an unordered list and add 3 list items to it. In the first, add a sentence telling others that this content is in the public domain, but if they use it, to give you credit. You could replace this with a copyright statement if you want to preserve all of your rights to the content and code you create. In the second list item, create a link to a site plan. In this demo site, the link will be to this same site plan file. When you build your own site, your link will be to your actual site plan. In the third list item, create a link to a teaching presentation. As explained in the class syllabus, you will be asked to create a teaching presentation page on your own site and create a link to it in the footer. So I'm trying to demonstrate this process in this video. Finally, in a paragraph, outside and after the unordered list, you will add a last updated statement by typing last updated : space and adding the current date. This is a two-edged sword. If you keep your content up to date and the date reflects it, then people will have increased confidence in your site. If you don't, it can decrease confidence. Later, we will add some PHP code to keep this up to date for you. Double check your code and compare it to the code shown in the video to make sure it is correct. Up to this point, we have not viewed the page in a browser because there was nothing to see. That has now changed. Assuming that you have done this and the previous video tutorials in a project that is connected to a web server, you can now post the plan.html file to the server and take a look at it in a web browser. In NetBeans, make sure that the plan.html file appears in the Projects panel. The word Projects will appear in the tab of the panel. Right-click on the plan.html file and select Run from the Options menu that appears. A dialog box should appear asking what files are to be uploaded. Click the Plan Demo folder and click OK. The files should upload and your default web browser should display the plan.html file. It should be pretty ugly, but the header, navigation links, and footer content should appear. Compare what you see to what you see in the video. Pause the video if needed. The last thing we will do is validate our code to make sure that there are no errors. Validation is a check to ensure that you have written your code correctly. Every web page you create should be checked, and if errors exist, fixed. By writing valid code, you are increasing the life of the code. It will be understood and rendered correctly by future web browsers, and making it easier for other developers to understand your code. This is a habit to get into right now. Write and check your code frequently. There are a number of ways to validate the code of the page. The easiest is to use the Validate HTML tool in the Web Developer toolbar. Refer to the video. A second way is to navigate to the validator in your browser and then type or paste the URL of the web page you want to check into the validator URL text box. Again, refer to the video. In either case, the validator will indicate if the code is valid or not. Validation will be discussed later in the course, and all pages of your site are expected to be valid HTML and CSS. In the next video, we will start adding content that belongs to a site plan.